Well, hey folks, Amy from Colorado Mountain Living. Brian and I are finishing up our visit to his parents in Florida, and it's pretty much the opposite climate of Colorado. So it made me think I should probably do a wildfire update video because a lot has been going on since we left Colorado, but also just some brand new fires have been taking the stage and causing a lot of concern. So I wanted to update you on the Cameron Peak fire, which is now officially the largest wildfire in Colorado history. It's over 200,000 acres at this point. Literally the largest recorded fire in Colorado history. And interestingly, the last 10 years have had the biggest wildfires in history, in the Colorado history. So it's sort of something to do with the aridness of the climate. But the Cameron Peak fire, it's at this point, it's been going on for 2 months now, and it is 62% contained, last that I checked. In addition to it being the largest fire, there's several cities that border the fire that we're really watching. So on the eastern side, and these are the vulnerable sides of the fire, they've pretty much got it contained around the north and the west side. But towards the east are the cities of Fort Collins and Loveland, and to the south is Estes Park, which is a huge tourist area. So people are really concerned, and those areas have been plagued by smoke. In fact, at the beginning of the video, the footage that you saw of the rolling white cloud, Brian actually caught that from his window at work. He was able to see this, and what that actually was a sort of a flare-up. It was last Wednesday. The Cameron Peak fire flared up. This billowing smoke came out. It was just a huge windy day, and it just really had a surge. He caught that on a time lapse, which was pretty interesting. But the high winds, the endless drought, and the warmer than average temperatures for October have really made the firefighting season, or the wildfire season, worse than normal. That kind of brings me to the next fire, which is something that's brand new. Just this past weekend on Saturday, the Calwood fire started. They're not sure the start, they're not sure the cause of it. Just like they're not 100% sure on the cause of the Cameron Peak fire, but within a few hours, the fire started and expanded to 5,000 acres. And it's currently over 9,000 acres with 0% containment. Apparently it's on private land at this point, but it actually caused mandatory evacuations for thousands of people because of its location. And the location is somewhat close to the Cameron Peak fire. It's in the North Boulder area, towards Lyons and Jamestown. It's really right in Jamestown, and that's a really populated town. So a lot of evacuations, 3,000 people were evacuated from their homes. So at this point, they don't know of any structural fires that have happened, so no homes have burned yet, but they're really keeping an eye on it. At this point, it's only, I think it's actually 5% contained. The last update a couple of hours ago, I checked. It's shocking to hear that just is something that happened a few days ago. From 0 to 9,000 acres in 24 hours is outstanding. So there's still some other fires that are going on. In total, there's about 7 to 8 fires active in Colorado right now. So the ones that you're not hearing about, Middle Fork Fire or the East Troublesome Fire, they're a little bit smaller in size comparatively, or they're not affecting people because they're not close to cities. The Williams Fork Fire, these are all producing smoke though. And even one of the older ones from the beginning of August, the Grizzly Creek, it's still active right now. So there's the Williams Fork Fire. That's one that I've mentioned before. That's one that's a little bit closer to us. However, it is on the other side of the Continental Divide. So there are some natural barriers in place. Same thing that goes for the Cameron Peak fire. There's natural barriers in place to keep that from really spreading into town, such as creeks and reservoirs. So there's a lot of things that the fire would have to jump or overcome in order to do that. So in addition to the fire update, the real reason I wanted to make this video was to share the fact that Brian and I got to meet one of the firefighters that was fighting the Cameron Peak fire. In fact, when we got to the airport in Denver, we noticed a whole crew of firefighters coming through, and they were actually firefighters that were visiting from the state of Florida. So it was a whole crew of hotshot firefighters that were sent to Colorado to fight these wildfires, and there they were in front of our eyes on their way back home. And we got to sit next to one of them on the plane. Unfortunately, an airplane is not a great place for an interview. And we talked to this guy a little bit, but I would have loved to have gotten it on camera. I would have loved to have gotten a few questions answered for you guys so you could meet him. But we talked to a wonderful gentleman who told us all about the fire and how they, were on the scene. They'd really had been in Colorado for 3 solid weeks away from their families, fighting these fires. And he said that at the Cameron Peak fire, they were there trying to suppress it from spreading, and they were able to save all of the structures, all of the homes that were being threatened by the fire. So these guys were just amazing, just wonderful heroes. They were the Florida Wildland Firefighters. And so they, send teams of these guys out in different rotations. They come out for a few weeks, they go back home, they send them where they're needed, and they were in Colorado helping us. So it was really amazing to meet one of them. It was really cool when we got done the flight, because even the flight attendant made the announcement that these guys were all on board, and everybody clapped. It was so cool. So it was a really great experience to meet one of them and talk to them. And he was kind of sharing some of the photos from his upfront experience, and it was just amazing. So it was just a great experience to be able to talk to one of them. We're getting ready for our trip home, and we know that the wildfire season is still going strong. Apparently it's going to be dry throughout the end of the year, and we're just at the mercy of the winds at this point and the weather. So we're hoping maybe some snow could come. We're hoping that the winds will die down. We're hoping that the temperatures don't stay abnormally warm, because it seems to be creating the conditions for these fires that just get out of control so easily. And you're never really sure what's the cause of these fires. I mean, it's still under investigation. The cause of the largest fire in Colorado history. Was it an environmental? Was it a lightning strike? Was it man-made? We don't know. And the same thing goes for this one that just blew up, within the last 48 hours. So all we can do is stay fire-wise, hope and pray that the conditions improve. And we really are grateful and thankful to all the firefighters on the scene that risk their lives every day to keep us safe. But I thought you guys would appreciate the update and a little anecdote about meeting one of the firefighters. It was definitely special to kind of get to talk to them up front. We've been tracking the wildfires all summer, it seems like, and it was just kind of cool to meet a real life person that's been dealing with it. That area with the Cameron Peak fire in combination with a Calwood fire, it's really high risk right now, and it's really close to where Brian took his bike ride just last week. It's one of those things you can take for granted very easily, but we're glad that we're starting to see some containment of that really large fire. It's really important, and hopefully we'll hear the same thing for the Calwood fire that just got started. And I think it sounds like the way the temperatures are a lot lower today, that they're having more success containing those fires. So that's the update, guys, from pseudo Colorado. I've just been doing some of the research, but we're not, we're headed back there, and we're hoping to see blue skies. Take care, guys. We'll see you at the next one.